regarding my LeBron right here too. LeBron, man, that's my bro, that's my dude. And Dwayne Wade, because I was first a Dwayne Wade fan, he's got his new statue that came out. You see that?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I wasn't actually gonna address this, but I love his response to it because he said, "Look, I mean, do you know anybody with a statue yet? The conversation is about it doesn't look like him, and that is the problem because now you already got me preached. That's the problem. Instead of actually celebrating my guy for a statue, we're seeing memes. Oh, the statue doesn't look exactly like him. And if you go back, and it's funny that you brought this up because what he just said in his press conference responding to these memes is he goes, there were artists in Miami, people that worked very hard on that he felt a little more bad for in terms of now their name is associated with. And that's all that is just hate. Like, who knows anybody with a statue, but now it's, it doesn't look like
side visionaries. This applies to every single one of you.
Yes,
we're talking to Aswan Cruikshank, right, who's an expert in developing highly motivated teams. And so here comes Dwayne Wade, and we could look at it just as a basketball and a fun experience. But no, this man saw his team being attacked by the public, and instead of firing them or instead of saying, you guys really screwed this up and made me look bad, right, he came to his defense, the defense of the team in a way that also didn't hurt people. He was so loving about this process. I mean, there's so much value in terms of business that we can learn from the sports world. And that's why when I had the opportunity to work with you, I was like, oh my gosh, like an athlete, somebody who gets teamwork and organizations. So hit it. Go ahead. Keep on that vein if you want to. Because I thought it was really funny that they said, because at first I was like, how'd they mess my guy up? I was like, I can't see the. And somebody said that it looks like Lawrence Fishburne from The Matrix, and I was like, oh, that's funny.
Yes, I'm not gonna lie. I get a little fight because he was like my favorite. I used to get in arguments about D Wade and LeBron that didn't age well, but like people that knew me back then, I had D Wade posters. Like I was a fan, right? I was a fan, so I was more so celebrating the moments. Like the child in me was like, "That's D Wade." You know what I'm saying? I've been a Heat fan even when I lived in Maryland. But the issue now is I wanted to see how we actually responded because you really don't know how a person is until you respond and see how they are with their teams. And I wanted to see how I responded with to me, I call it just over critical. Right now, if you got a guy, if you know someone, he said this in a press conference, he looked around, he goes, you know anyone with a statue? You know anyone with a statue? Why exactly are we going to have entire segments about the fact that it doesn't necessarily look like him? Because I didn't even think that when I first saw it. I felt, and I'm saying all this, I might be rambling, but I'm saying all this because my initial thought was D Wade has a statue outside of the kid from Chicago. Wow. A kid, I mean, as a kid, it took me back to the kid in me. I used to look up to him, 06 finals. I mean, absolutely did it. A statue, bro?
Absolutely.
Now it don't look like him. That was the last thing I thought about.
And he elevated his team, right? That's such a big thing. So we can do that when our team members, when we want to get mad at our team or we want to control things or act like, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world because it didn't have X, Y, or Z. Oh, well, that's critical, Jackson. They had to get that right. It's like, no, you have to get your relationships right. If you're going to be a great leader, we've got to get our relationships right and support our people. So they did an amazing job. He just left a legacy, like a legendary opportunity for us all to learn from as entrepreneurs. So we're going to be talking about ditching overwhelm, right? From the hazards or the adversities that come up and really developing highly motivated teams and how we can do that. Aswan's going to lead us the way on that. Before we do, Aswan, what are 3 resources that you recommend for other visionaries and leaders out there that have helped you, get to where you are?
3 resources. First one I would say is a book by Malcolm Gladwell, Outliers. All right, Malcolm Gladwell, Outliers. For me, that was a book that really took success and put it into a really simple math problem. You look at your life, you look at the things that you have going on, and that book defines. Go read. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't read it, but go get that.
That dude is a research champion.
And he actually has a new one that I got to get soon. It's like the second one of tipping point. The third one, I would say people. To be 100% honest with you, people, like
100%.
actually going to a stranger and presenting them with an idea, presenting them with something that's on your heart and on your mind, and getting feedback, getting realistic feedback from people. And if I had to, I don't know if this is actually a resource, but it's something that you can take as a resource. You got to take action. Got to take action some kind of way. All right. Outliers as a book.
Yes.
People that, are doing some of the things that you want to do. And again, 2 and 3 kind of are aligned, but you have got to take action in some kind of way, even if that person you don't have access to, or you got to go send a DM, do something, get in the habit. Like there was a point when I first started right after college, I was a college scout. I would email maybe like 15 to 20 different college coaches a day, even if whether it got responded to or not.
You did what? Say that again.
15 to 20 different college coaches a day. And very few of them actually got responded to. But I knew just taking that action gave me the confidence to go out and recruit the next kid. And now the business I built is based on a lot of the things that I learned as a college football player. So just taking action, I would highly.
You're emailing these college coaches, right, every day. What was the purpose? What were you trying to accomplish?
Simply building a relationship. That's it.
To do what? What was that? Was it goal outcome?
Yeah, the goal. So what
when you wanted to play?
No. This was when I was actually recruiting for other players. So I would go out and I would actually recruit high school players as a college scout, like put eyes on them. And I couldn't be doing this if I didn't have the relationship with college coaches. So it was a matter of making sure the relationship was there, even if it was just via email, and then going out and, promising or working with a specific athlete. So I was doing the work that I needed to do to build the relationship for somebody else. And then as the next player comes up, all that kind of stuff.
I love that. Thank you for helping me catch that. And this was in what year?
2010.
Very good. So this is back before all the automation.
Yep. Right. Oh boy, yes it was.
And you got to do a lot of work to make these things happen. And nowadays, somebody's doing 20 emails per day, they ain't going to get the same types of results. That you're getting. But the principle is what I want everybody to catch. Is that discipline and the hard work that was put into building those relationships up. So I love that. And the 3 resources, again, Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell, 2, People, my guest yesterday, phenomenal. No, I said yesterday on Friday. Fantastic conversation about people as well as a resource. And then 3rd, Take Action, or in other words, make you move.
Yes, sir.
MakeYouMove.com, right? That's what Aslan's all about.
Love the plug.
Swiftly as well, right? We got to move swiftly on these opportunities. Life is short, my friends. If we let it get away, it can be easy to regret the fact that we didn't make our move when they had the opportunity to do so. So make your moves today. And we're going to see you guys on the other side. We'll dive into the vision and talk about highly motivated teams and how to create that for our own environments. All right, welcome in to Vision Pros Live with Jackson Callum. I'm your show host. We will be doing interviews for visionary entrepreneurs and guest leaders who are building fantastic visions out there. Hey, what's up, Vision Pros? Welcome into another episode of Vision Pros Live. My name is Jackson Callum, the founder and CEO of First Class Business, and I'm excited to have Aswan Cruikshank on the show today of MakeYouMove.com. Aswan's actually a client at First Class Business, so this is fun because we'll be able to look at some of the development activities that have led us to work together on and why we work together too. We'll explore that too, about overcoming, ditching the overwhelm, and moving towards developing highly motivated team members. It is super important that we look at this. Now, visionaries, some of you still have the solopreneur mindset, and that's okay. If you feel that's for you, I understand. All I can tell you is I've never, ever been able to build a business successfully without an amazing team. So knowing how to recruit team members, knowing how to find them, knowing how to train them, knowing how to develop them is one of the most important skill sets that you can develop for yourself if you're building something that is going to be scalable and stand the test of time. And so I'm excited again to dive in with him on that. I want to give another couple of resources and a shout out to the Water Project. We're going to start with Dave Morrow of hardtokill.org. Dave Morrow is on the mission to help 100,000 veterans lose 2 million pounds collectively. You can check out his podcast, the Hard to Kill podcast. He is an award-winning podcaster who's been doing this for more than 5 years. I just spoke at the Military Influencer Expo down in Georgia, and he is actually one of my favorite leaders to have worked with. No offense, Aswan, you'll grow there. We haven't worked together long enough yet, my friend. But Dave and I have been working together for more than 6 months at this point, I believe. And to see his growth and to see his book his second book's coming out soon, and he's expanded his community so that anybody, the civilians as well, can get involved in the Hard to Kill community. And it's helped me with my health tremendously. So I highly recommend checking out what we're up to with Hard to Kill and join us over in that program and sending your military friends so they can get the help and support they need to look good, feel good, and go do good. In addition to that, we've also got oportunidades de trabajo para Latinos. That's opportunities for work for Latinos. We also have opportunities for work for the Philippines, and we have opportunities for work for Indians. And we have respective co-founders now of those organizations with me. What we're doing is we're helping virtual assistants or people who are unaware of opportunities that exist on LinkedIn, Canva, Upwork, Fiverr. There are billions of people who do not know that those sites exist. Most of the Latinos I meet do not know those resources exist. We're helping them learn how to become virtual assistants or digital ambassadors, as we call it. We get them the job training, and then we get them placed with organizations that are going to treat them well as team members, or we get them the skill sets to go and find their own work. If you know a Latino leader, a Philippines leader, or somebody from India who also would enjoy being involved in those podcasts, please send them our way, or please comment, let us know if you're one of those individuals. We'd love to have you on those shows. We're all about bridging the gap, so that the economic gap, in order to stabilize the world, not just North America, but South America and rest of the world included. Super important for us. Thank you for hearing me out on that. Lastly is the Water Project. I have no affiliation with the Water Project, but I absolutely love the way they transparently go about their work. When I started studying this project, I realized there were millions of people who don't have access to clean drinking water. And that's something that we like to forget about in America. I've never been thirsty in my life. These kids are going to water holes 3-4 miles away from their home, or the wives are, or whoever else is going out there, and you can see the toll that it's taking on their lives. And if we could just donate a little bit of money or inspire somebody to do so, what the Water Project does is they let you invest in a specific community, and you get to see the project come to fruition, whether it's a borehole well or a sand dam. Like I said, the transparency that they create with this is amazing. The picture you're about to see gets me emotional almost every time I see it, because I see these kids celebrating water like my kids celebrate Christmas Day. That's how much this means to them. So again, I hope you take the opportunity to, even if you can't give back financially, to talk about this with friends and family, and spread the word, because you never know who will be the person that dives in and funds one of these projects, or even 10 of them. You might have that effect on somebody. So if you have another cause that you'd like to see us contribute to, then of course, drop that cause in the comments. The more the merrier. We've got an abundant opportunity to help. And it's my responsibility rocking this microphone, that I also try to inspire others to join us in doing good throughout the world. So thank you for your time and attention on that. Without further ado, Aswan Cruikshank, welcome back to Vision Pros Live.
Great to be back, and shout out to you with the work you're doing with that Water Project, man. Very important stuff, very philanthropic stuff, much needed in this world.
100%, my friend. Here's my hope for us. I would love to, within the next 12 to 18 months, one of my goals is to get us to Africa. I'd like to take my team, take one of my videographers, take my oldest child, and go and visit one of these opportunities. I'd love for you to join us.
Yes, I would love that as well, man. An important point is he said goals, guys. He said goals. He didn't say resolutions. He said a specific goal, and that's important to have as well.
100%. Absolutely. So, I'd love to see us bring that to fruition. Obviously, like you said, we got to take action, right? We got the right people. We got to get after it if we're going to do these things. So, with all that said, I know some people can hear that and be like, oh man, they're talking about the rat race, or they're talking about the hamster wheel, or they're talking about grinding through life. And that's not what I'm talking about at all. So what is your vision for those that you serve, Aswan?
The vision is for any business owner, any business that really truly cares. If you care about it, if you care more than just your profits, if you care more about people, and you actually have a quality service that it's burning in you and you believe in it, the vision is to serve them in a way in which they can bring in a group of people. They can create a cohesive team that is so motivated. It's so hungry. They come to work every day knowing their specific role, and they're upset when things don't go well. They're upset they upset when the company isn't doing well. They're not just, okay, I got my check and I'm moving on and, doing whatever with my life. The vision for the people that I'm trying to serve is I want them understanding how valuable it is, how great the feeling is to have a team of people that really grind, really work to the point where you're going to go to work every day. You feel like a championship high school football coach. You want to have that level of commitment amongst every last one of your employees.
I love that. And, one of the things that you talk about is, these are your words, not mine.
Mm-hmm.
You help these companies find and develop highly motivated staff members.
Right.
That these business owners, and they know they need better systems.
Yes.
And, keeping the people motivated, but also making sure that they're not overwhelmed by this process and this experience. You call your system the Move Swiftly playoff system. And that entails that, like, okay, like there's some energy involved with this.
Right.
Tell me more about that. Tell me what can the business owner anticipate that process looks like to develop the team?
Well, first of all, they can, number one, expect to have measurable goals for each employee. All right. Now, I've worked in a ton of different jobs. I've been in a lot of different industries, a lot of transient industries, whether it's fitness, whether it's education, whether it's athletics. All of these industries are very transient. And the issue is the ones that win, the ones that the business owners that actually survive, and the ones that actually have that relationship, is the fact that they're establishing measurables, specific measurables for a person when they walk in the door. So the night before, they're thinking about it. All right. The day before, they know I got to get this done. So the way you do it is you have to have every single person walking in those doors knowing what needs to get done today. If you let a person go 8 hours without doing anything and still getting a check, that's on you as an owner. All that employee is doing is taking advantage of a check. And if they get too used to that, all of a sudden they're going to start complaining. All of a sudden, this isn't right. And then they're going to go move on and find something that pays them more. When if you as an owner set up your system the right way, you could have created a measurable in which they learn how to pay themselves through your service. One of the things I talk about, and it's a word that I've coined, by the way, folks, it's called being a win-trepreneur. All right. Not an entrepreneur, not an entrepreneur, but a wintrepreneur, where every day you have a job, you're getting paid 2 weeks, but you're taking it on the mindset. You're taking the mindset of, this is my business and I'm going to make sure this measurable gets done. You can't realistically expect a person to do that unless there's a specific measurable for what it is that needs to be done every day. And that's on
it, because that also makes it easier to have the mindset too of like winning the day.
1,000%, right. And all this is sports stuff. All of this stuff is stuff that we learn playing sports every single day. You don't know why you're doing. You don't know why you're in 100-degree weather with pads on, sprinting up hills. You don't know why you're doing it until you get to that Friday night. And I have to admit, because now you really got me thinking. I got to take you there. One of the greatest things that I ever got from a high school football coach, shout out to Coach Gen, is it was during one of those workouts, Jackson, where he looks at all of us. He goes, guys, there's no better feeling than walking off that field on a Friday night. The lights are on, your family's there, and after a win. So all of this, and I like to take that mindset to business. You know what I'm saying? I like to take it because whether you're a single mom and you're struggling to just get to the damn job and you had to, carpool with this one, you had to pay this one gas just to get there. There's no better feeling than being able to go out and make money on your own with the support of a job. All right, with the support of a job, and then feed your family, and then watch your kids, your kings and queens, ladies, but watch them just grow and develop and say, I put in that sacrifice. No better feeling. As an owner, imagine that vision, bro. Imagine you being able to do that.
There's such an opportunity too, because fun, energy, motivation, like all that stuff creates more and more success. The E-Myth talks about this in the book. I have it on my desk right now because I was talking about it in the last podcast I was on. And he talks about how you want to make it like a game, right? You want your people to be inspired and excited to be there, and you're bringing that to fruition. And sometimes we get caught up in the details. And I'll tell you, my heart and mind is like, oh man, measurable goals for each team member. I know how hard that is to do. I know how much energy it takes to sit down and do that if I look at it as a chore, right? If I look at it as a task. And yet if I can look at it from a game perspective, it can elevate me to really, really play with it. But also this, like, is this something that you then help the entrepreneurs do so that they're not just creating random measurables that
Yeah,
don't make sense for each
yeah.
employee? How does that work?
Well, you took that. I'm glad you asked that because you're right. As soon as, and this is what I've seen owners do when they get a little desperate, and not to talk politics here, but there's one side that's obviously getting very desperate by bringing a bunch of celebrities in the final hour and all that, but we'll leave that to the side.
Yeah.
But the issue with a lot of you owners is when it gets to a point where your business is about to fall and you start to see those numbers going down, now you want to be a boss. Now you want to be the stern leader, and you can't go from being nice to being mean. You can only go from being an a-hole to now you can be nice. So when it comes to me helping you as the entrepreneur, what we do is we break them down into categories. All right. Now, when I played football, we had 3 categories. There's Group A, Group B, and Group C. Group A, incredible athletes, can do anything, will probably make great athletes in whatever sport they decide to play. Wideouts, running backs, and the defensive backs. Group B was my group, the linebackers and the quarterbacks. So Group A, we call them skilled workers. This is the acronym SWIFTLY that is what built my business. So the Group A people, they're skilled workers. And if you think about it, the people that have a skill, whether you're a cosmetologist, whether you're a plumber, if you're getting paid on your skill, that's great. So that's what I look at when it comes to the S. The WI, well-informed, Group B, that's like my group. We were the linebackers, the quarterbacks, the tight ends. Well-informed as a quarterback and as a linebacker, you got to make sure your skilled people are in the right position, whether you're on offense or defense. If you're on defense, hey, linebackers got to look back, make sure the DBs are where they need to be in coverage. Quarterbacks need to make sure the receivers are running the right route. The same way, managers, it's your job. Okay, it's your job as a manager to take in your skill, the skilled workers that you have, put them in the right position to succeed. And then you have FT, the front team workers, and and the football world, to translate that for you, it's the offensive and defensive linemen that you only care about when they're giving up a sack, or there's a holding call, or somebody or defensive lineman might get a sack or might stop. The things that they do every single day goes very, very undervalued. The same way that the person who cleans up this room, who takes out this trash every single day, he takes out this trash every single day. The person that's cleaning up the windows, all of those people go underappreciated, right? So what I've done with the acronym SWIFTLY is I go and sit down with the business owner and say, who are your skilled guys? Who are your well-informed guys? Who are your front team people? And what exactly needs to be the priority right now? What's the priority in terms of how you get more sales, in terms of what's going to help your bottom line? Is it going to be the skilled workers? Is it going to be the well-informed? Well, usually they're the well-informed workers I'm working with, but are you going to need someone that is more of a well-informed worker that can replace you? So whatever the category you may have as a business owner that's going to lead to results now, we focus on that. That's why we call it the playoffs. Okay, because you don't have the luxury of being in the regular season of business. That was school. That was college. All right. We're in the playoffs now. And now it's like, okay, you got to get sales today, and we got to figure out what we need today, and let's get our measurables set for today. So these measurables are actually they're intentional. All right. Another great book to check out, Gary Zukav, Seed of the Soul by Gary Zukav. He talks about intentions. Set intentional measurables. That's a tongue twister, but you got to be intentional in every single measurable that you actually create.
I love that. All right. So those of you listening in vision wise, some of you are thinking, well, I am the coach for my team. But have you ever seen a football team or a basketball team? There ain't one coach. You got the coach, you got the assistant, you got the different position coaches and trainers and all that. You don't want to be that guy. Like, imagine trying to compete in a real league in life and say, no, we just need one coach. We're going to do it without all the people that everybody else is doing it with. Like, you're just setting yourself up for a disaster. So make sure that you're aware of that. You remind me, moving outside of the sports world a little bit, as you talk through this, I'm like, oh man, you're the Watson to Sherlock Holmes. I was like, you're the guy that's there supporting, catching things that he's not. And both of you are working hand in hand, kind of doing the same thing, but appreciating and building energy off of each other. And who the heck doesn't want that if they can find somebody who's effective at it? And like, that's the key. So I see a very effective individual helping with this process. Let's dive into a darker area as one, because life hasn't been perfect for anybody. Maybe you're the first person. But what's the worst leadership experience that you've ever had?
I probably don't have time to talk about all of them. I'll try to. Again, I've worked in fitness, worked in athletics, worked in education. The worst leadership experience I've ever had.
Yeah, and
I'll
this
go
isn't
with
specifically about you
no,
as
no.
much as it
I'll
is.
go. I'll go with
ahead.
a specific one because this was one, and this is important because I don't want to. I'm not going to bash the person. I'm not going to trash the person. I spent enough
Sure.
time doing that on my own show and my own stuff. But I want to talk about one that he did something, but his intentions were well. All right. So I used to work at this gym named D1 Training, D1 Nova. This was back in Virginia, right? D1 Sports and Training. It's like they use celebrity athletes to promote this type of gym where you come in. It's where the D1 athletes train. A lot of NFL and NBA players. I think Chris Paul has one, if it's still open or anything like that. So I used to work at one in Virginia, right? And the facilities manager was, he was the one that brought me in as a coach, and he started it. He was a coach, and then he became the facilities manager, and it's his role to get people walking through the doors and all that kind of stuff, or to collect these deals where they do a deal with a softball team and bring people in and all that stuff. So we had our regular group of people, regular folks that come in just for the boot camp and all that kind of stuff. We had a good group of those showing up, but the brand is about how we can get these corporate deals and how we can get these teams in so we can make more money on the back end. So what they decided to do was they decided to install nets, like actual softball nets at this D1 facility. And what happened was they get the corporate deal, they get the corporate money and all that. But the people who were working out regularly, paying their over $100 a month membership, they started to get slighted because these nets are up and we have a bunch of softball girls there playing and we have whole teams. So the space wasn't big enough for these people that were already paying a membership just for these boot camp classes. Now, did he build these nets so these people would leave or with ill intention? No, he did not. He built these nets because he thought it was the best thing to do. And ultimately what happened is this gym specifically ended up going out of business. They folded. Boom, just like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it came from a place where you just didn't know how to create measurables. Now, let's use the examples. If he used my system, if he uses my system now, he says to himself, you know what, the nets may not be the best thing. However, we do need to have some sort of a deal that if you're a coach here, it's your responsibility to bring in a team to work out. We don't need nets here. They have nets at other places. We don't necessarily need to, remove the facility, but you have to continue to do other things than just train these specific boot camp people, because that's what the brand entails. If there was a measurable like that I could have taken in and went to a high school softball team or some, youth softball team and brought them in, then you are able to at least test it out before you go build these nets. And now you ruin the experience. And because of communication, because you didn't create a measurable, now the business has failed because the nets were already up, the money was already spent, and boom, now look at it. And I have tons of examples just like that. Like I said, I just don't got time to get into all of them.
Right. You got the you have the same style and a very relatable subject along with Steve Rice. So Steve Rice was yesterday. He's the one that brought up people as well. Mm-hmm. And I can't wait to connect you guys. I got to get you guys connected because he's got this term called the zero unmeasurable externalities. Mm-hmm. And his concept and your concept go hand in hand. I could see you guys conquering the world together in big ways. So we'll have to get him over on your show as well and see what you guys can do together. Speaking of great leaders, man, what's your best leadership experience that you've ever had?
This goes back to, not counting my mother and a lot of the work we do for the sake of this show. I have
well
to
said, man. Shout out to moms.
I have to share too.
Do it.
I have to share too. Because moms deserve some love on this. And I know there's a lot of parents who keep up with I'm
on a standing ovation.
So, moms, this was out of the cuff. So it's cold, Silver Spring, Maryland. All right, Silver Spring, Maryland. We're in the dead of winter. And I just happened to have a winter coat on. The zipper didn't work. All right, we're walking and we just, bundle up. Look, you just got to do what you got to do. We bundle it up. And as we're walking to our destination, we stop in a thrift store. And then she asks the person, you guys have Velcro? You guys have Velcro or something that I could cover my son's chest up with some Velcro just because the zipper won't work?
Wow.
I mean, to this day, bro, and I've been around some great leaders. But to
Wow.
care that much, we're
Yeah.
stopping in the middle of cold. And I remember actually saying this to her when I got out. I was like, wow, like you actually just think about us all the time. I don't know why I always think about your big-headed ass. And it was funny, but the thing is, it sticks with me because this was natural. This was, again, picture this, guys. We're in the freezing cold. We're getting to a destination. And instead of getting to this destination, she stops and said, oh, there's a thrift store. Can my son whose zipper is broken, can you guys put some Velcro on it real quick just so he can cover up his chest?
Man.
That's when you care. That's when you really actually care about a person. To get that level of caring, that's another level. So when it comes, and I say this all the time, Jackson, when it comes to the way I judge my football coaches and when it comes to the way I judge my current like employers and the people I've worked for, they don't know what they're being compared to. They have no idea the kind of leadership that I had, in the house with that one woman. I didn't even bring up my dad and my older sister. But in terms of the next example I want to share, and this is important for a lot of you football coaches.
You can give me time to cry. Like,
yeah, huh?
Can you give me a little bit of time to cry about this,
right,
man? Like,
go ahead, man. Go ahead. Do what you got to do.
Dang, dude. Oh, I just wish. I mean, we're on yesterday's episode was episode 2099.
Wow.
And I think you just took the cake for
Wow.
best leadership experience. Like
Thank you.
if all of us took the time to think about the sacrifices that our moms, some of our cases, our dads have made, that like we've got so many leadership examples around us that we often just overlook and don't see. Sooner we start looking at that and appreciating that, saying, I can do that. I have that power. Like the sooner we would step into being pretty awesome leaders. So go ahead. The next one, man.
Well, now you're getting me because it's in the home too. You're talking about a woman who has an associate's degree from Trinidad and Tobago. There was no fancy college. There was nothing, associate's degree. And you have people now who have gotten all sorts of fancy educations and they're doing this. But when you talk leadership, this question that we're looking at, it starts and ends right there with that woman. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, because I went into the world judging or holding quote unquote leaders to a different standard. So I would advise anyone that's listening, when you got young people in the home and you actually decide to be a leader, what it changes in that young person is they're going out and they're holding their leaders to a different standard. Because what we can see in this political season, and again, I'm not telling you go left or right, we're seeing a drop off in leadership. We're seeing a situation where one person drops out, the other person is saying this and saying that, and now we're having to resort to picking the less of two, voting against someone instead of voting for someone. And my challenge to everyone that's listening is be the leader in your home, so your young people come out and say, that's not real leadership, man. And to get to the second point, when I played for the White Oak Warriors, this was the year we had transitioned from Capital Beltway League to Pop Warner. And my favorite coach I've ever played for, his name is Coach Bryant Davis. It was the first game we're playing Northwood. And because we're in a new league, we didn't know that we had to actually wear cups. All right. This was some new league stuff that we had to do. We find out the Saturday, the day of the game. And this man takes money out of his own pocket, runs to a Kmart, buys all of us cups, and we end up winning the national championship that year, 2002, first year in the league. I will never forget. I mean, we went to Florida, did the whole thing, and won it all. I'll never forget the first game where we realized, oh, we don't got cups. Hey, I'm the man. I'm going to be the guy that goes and takes money out of his own pocket, sacrifice, give them boys cups, and, do what they have to do. That's real leadership. So when I walked into the working world, bro, and you got people who are trying to think about vacation time and you're, doing things where you're showing up late and I didn't understand it. It was like a foreign language. I didn't understand this idea of, not wanting to work. It never looked at it as something that was a punishment. It was always something that we realized
virtue
to do it.
Yeah. Oh man. Everybody listening in, I mean, you just heard executive leadership at the highest levels by Aswan Cruikshank. Like, my goodness. Who wouldn't want that? On their team like that. Golly. Okay. So if this was your last chance, Aswan, to share with the world. All right, let's go deep. What powerful lesson can other visionaries learn from your experience?
Be yourself. And I say it as quickly every time I get a question like this. It's important that you never lose sight of being yourself. Listen, use me as an example. Picture a kid growing up in Silver Spring, Maryland, right there in the politics, right there in the heart of it, right on the outskirts of DC, the sons and daughters of lawyers, potential candidates, the people that we see on TV a lot this time of year. Picture that kid going into a classroom and the teacher going through the attendance and they're saying Ash Crook, Ash One, Crook, something, whatever, and a young boy needing to correct an adult. That is the first impression. You and I both know this, and everyone listening, though, you do not get a second chance at a first impression. So if my first impression of you is giving you a correction on how to say my name, how exactly do you think it's going to be? Do you think it's going to be easy for that boy to fit in school? No. But what happened is I realized when I grew up that it wasn't a burden. It was actually a blessing. It was actually an opportunity for me to be myself, speak to authority, whether you call yourself an authoritative figure, regardless of your title. You have got to now kind of respond, and you got to show up every single day, because your title don't mean shit to me. All right, it really doesn't. Your title,
it shouldn't mean anything to anybody.
That's what I'm saying. You got to
live up to it.
You're a leader every single day, based on how you do your work. That's how it's supposed to work.
I love that. Be yourself. I love the tie too. I was very blessed with a unique name as well. And so my first name, Herbert, which most people don't know. I didn't want that name.
Right,
most of my people, you're good. So exactly, sharing the same thing. So when I was Jackson, like, people want to know if that was my last name or not, and nobody knows how to pronounce my last name. And so it gave me an opportunity to explain things. And when you're going around a room too, and you're talking about, like, most teachers, they do like the get to know you sessions when you're first day of school and all that, and they want to know about your family or whatever. And so when they come across to Jackson, it's like, I got 5 older sisters, or my unique fact, I've got 15 half and step brothers and sisters, right? It's like, whoa. Class stops, it becomes this open question answer session. And it was always a little bit awkward, but it shaped my ability to dialogue. And so each kid, now my children all have very unique names. That is not an accident. That is very much on purpose, because it does help with the social skills aspect. So I love that you bring that up. And by the way, the irony here, I totally misspelled your last name when I wrote your quote. So I got to get that fixed on all the channels. Because I know what that's like. I did when I either wrote in the quote or in the title, one of the two. So I got to look that up, make sure I get that right. Because
no, it's right. CRUICKSHANK. That's right.
I forgot the C in one of my little quots on the social media channels.
It's on. Okay.
Or I typed it wrong.
Yeah.
But here's the
that brings me to a story, actually. So
back
when I worked at Orange Theory, the guy, shout out to Drew, but he had texted somebody. He was texting me, and he was texting my name, and he goes, "Yeah, the autocorrect changes his name to Asians." As opposed to, and then I texted him back like, "Yeah, that's just something on my list to do." So,
yeah. And so we got these opportunities, and as leaders, right? You talk about making space to be the leader in the scenario as well, right? We have an opportunity to easily get offended about things. We also have the opportunity to lean in and help people feel comfortable with scenarios. And a lot of that has to do with, again, letting overwhelm go and developing highly motivated teams, or developing ourselves. So going back to that subject to finish off, what are some of the areas, one, what are the questions people aren't asking you that you want to be asked on a show like this to dive into it? And two, what are some of the ways we're overlooking this that we could change as leaders to make sure we are accommodating for an environment of motivated team members?
So a show like, and as far as a show like this, I think you're doing a great job. I think it's important that you just get this conversation going, because as a business owner, you know what's best for your own business. You know exactly what it is you're going to need, and it's important that you have the dialogue with yourself, so you know what questions you're going to ask me based on what's beneficial to your business. So just getting the information out there and making sure that people know that I exist, I definitely appreciate that. And as far as what's being overlooked, it's the college thing, the whole, I'm just going to go to school and, get my degree and do my thing and start my career, and everything that we're pointing to us, we're kind of staring people indirectly to a situation where it's all about me, 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 me. Go get a better education.
Yes.
Go do this for you. Go get better yourself. Me, 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 me. So by the time you've been indoctrinated with this idea of, oh, I'm going to go to school for me, 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 you start to lose the idea of it's about we. It's not going to be about, oh, I got my degree, so I'm not going to need anybody else in my life. No, you're going to need to work with people regardless of your career, regardless of your job, regardless of whatever it is you're trying to do. It's not going to be just about yourself. And too often do we steer people in this direction where they make it all about themselves.
That's huge. Okay, so here's the weird thing.
You guys
I was traumatized by that reality.
Yeah.
Traumatized. I can't even, my PTSD in life, that is the biggest connection to PTSD that I still carry and have, is Aswan. I went on a mission at 19 years old. For 2 years, my entire life was about focusing on serving others and helping other people, right? I come back from that 2-year mission having to switch my mindset to me, me, me. What degree? Who am I going to marry? What am I going to do for life, living? Like what, all of those things, because, and nobody made me think that way. I chose to go back to looking at society from that lens. And it was one of the most difficult transitions and hardest things to realize. And I'm so grateful for the 2 years that I had, because they set me up for an opportunity to think about the bigger picture. Right. And I was ready to move, but I then, even with 2 years of that, I ended up instantly abandoning that as I came back into the real world, if you will. And if we can help young people, and old people, like both, start to realize how to stay true to that connection of we, then we can make massive changes. God, I've never even thought about it that way.
Yeah. And you literally hit the nail on it. It's so easy to fall into that me, me, me.
It is. So how do you get it? How do we make it easy for people to escape that?
If it was easy, it wouldn't be worth having.
Oh,
that's just the truth. There's no easy way to get there. There's no easy, and just as you said that, too often do we teach our young people to find something that's easy. Find that somebody makes you uncomfortable, go block them. If something challenges any level, and just remove this idea of anything is going to be easy, and then just roll with it. It's like one of my virtual men, shout out to Dre Baldwin, he always says, you're going to have to eat a shit sandwich at some point. At some point, you're going to have to eat that shit sandwich and, knuckle up and get through those hard times, because that's what makes you strong. There's no diamond out there that doesn't get thrown in the fire, cut with wood. I mean, just everything. It's one of those things where what a diamond goes through before it actually becomes a diamond. Think about the iron, think about how much it sharpens, think about all of this. That's why it's always about iron sharpens iron. So I can go on a tangent about this. So you got me going, man. You got me preaching. I'm
so happy that you're doing it, because I was thinking right before this, I don't even remember what inspired it. It's something about the last episode I did. I was like, man, when my kids come home this weekend, we're gonna pull the laptops out and we're gonna work together on. Oh, it was I was recording on one of my phones, and my phone's running out of space. And I've been trying to figure out, how do I fix that, to where somebody can move stuff off my phones. I was like, I could teach my daughter. I was like, but that would take me longer than just doing it myself. And I was like, that's the wrong attitude, Jackson. I was like, wait a second. I'm going to teach them how to do these things, not because I want them to do my work for me, not because I want them to fall in love with doing it. They're not going to love this process. It's all IT related stuff. Right. It's all like technical stuff. But the act of spending the 1 or 2 hours with them on learning how to share files, upload files, position that they're 13, 10, and 8. They're going to hate it after 2 hours. The first 30 minutes, they're going to love, but after 2 hours, they're going to hate it. But that experience is going to serve them for everything else that they do in their life. And so, no, I'm not excited to, go jump on a trampoline for endless hours. Unless that is dedicated to building their strength up, connected to their passions in some way. I love that, man. Thank you for giving me the permission. Just think through, like, no,
Well,
doesn't
thank
have to
you
be
too.
fun.
I mean, honestly, and for those of you listening, I know we're closing soon, but I mean, your approach, what you do in the episode we did will be out on my show as well. But
Yes.
when it comes to working with Jackson, I'll just make sure I'm on the record saying this. When it comes to working with Jackson, there's absolutely no pressure at all. There's absolutely nothing that you're going to do that's going to make you uncomfortable. It's going to be all about, do you have a vision? Do you want to succeed? And how badly do you actually want it? He set up his model in a way that attracts very, very strong-minded people that really do want to be great.
Well, I gotta throw that back to you because most of you would be uncomfortable working with me, but Aswan's got strength of character and leadership. So lions aren't uncomfortable with other lions.
When they get their ass,
You know,
when they get their ass,
they-
and that's who we're talking
they
to. That's
belong.
who we're talking to. We're not talking to
Right.
most people. We just said it. We're not talking to most people. We're talking to the
That's
ones
right.
that actually have accepted the fact that nothing's going to be easy. No one's going to actually do the work for you, and you're wanting people to really kick you in the ass a little bit and say, "Hey, come on now, come on now, come on." You can't be talking about being great, and not showing up to these calls. You can't be talking about being great and not, responding and doing it and taking advantage of certain opportunities that are presented.
The Move Swiftly podcast. Everybody listen in. Make sure to go check that out. Aswan does amazing interviews. I did get to be featured on that show. I just saw Scott Ritzheimer in passing on your show. I was like, oh, throwing down, man. He's got some great leaders on there who, if I want to go great places in life, then one of the best things I can do is surround myself with great people who are going in that same direction. So I would highly recommend including Aswan Cruikshank in your life. MakeYourMove.com. Go check that out. And then in the action steps below this episode, you'll see other links where you can get involved with the programs that he's got, such as the podcast. And then below that, of course, we will include the links to all of the resources that we discussed today. If you've got other resources you'd like to gift us with, then go ahead and do that. Give it to us in the comments. Let us know what's there. And then our last call to action, top right corner of the screen, you'll see a button that says, be our guest. Come and share your vision with us. Let us know what you're up to in the world and how you're helping people. And let's raise everybody together. Have a fantastic rest of your day, everybody. Aswan, thanks for joining me on Vision Pros Live. This was amazing.
My pleasure.
For being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more and more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention. Have an excellent time building out your vision.